Oh shit, welcome back to my fucking podcast. It's been a while, but now I'm back. Oh. Welcome back to a podcast. Friends of the podcast. It's been a little while again because I'm not so good at consistent uploading. I also just had my buddy, a squid called Sebastian, over here for like a week or three, and we went and did a lot of things, but making videos for YouTube wasn't one of them. But now I'm back, and also I'm gonna try to do this a little bit more frequently. Hopefully, in a little bit over a week, I'm gonna go back to Belgium for 6 months. That's still pretty crazy to me. And hopefully I can make a little setup there with my tripod to make videos, because I'm making podcasts, but I'm also, I started this new thing on my Patreon called Art Talks with a Boy. So definitely worth checking out. In these videos, I talk about my comic. It's tutorials. It's my mindset behind drawing. It's talking about the comic, showing the pages, whatever I can do surrounding the comic, and maybe later even more. I put in there, and I talk about art and shit and my opinions on it and why I draw the way I draw and stuff like that. So if you're into that and you would like to know a little bit more about how I think about drawing and how I go about drawing, then subscribe to my sweet ass Patreon, because it's pretty cool over there. And I've only made 2 videos so far, and I also upload concept art and characters and all the good stuff. I upload the pages there, but so I want to put more and more effort into those videos, and they'll be super cool, so join on up on the Patreon. But let's get into it today. I already drew a little goblin with a little wiener, and if you see that, then maybe you know where this episode is going. You see, I have this art buddy, this friend of mine called Euan, and he makes art and shit, and he draws super cool stuff. I've been following his stuff for years, probably like 6 years now. I've known about his stuff, and in my art journey as Lobster Robin, I happened to become friends with this guy. And lately he's been so sweet to me, and he featured me in like 2 or 3 of his videos already, and so I feel like this is long overdue. So today I'm drawing Ewan stuff, and one of the main things he likes to draw is goblins, which is a pretty good subject for like loose and fun drawings for a podcast. Because I'm still not up to the making like a whole painting during a podcast or stuff like that. Like I like to keep it more simple while I talk about things. So yeah, today we're drawing Euan stuff. We're gonna draw some more goblins, maybe a couple of other of the things that the man likes to draw. If you don't know Euan, then what can I even say? Like, are you even in the art world or on Instagram or whatever if you don't know Euan? He's called Euan again on Instagram, and I highly suggest you check him out because he's an incredible artist that inspired a lot of my own work. And so apparently I inspire him as well, and that's pretty sweet. And now we're all like fucking art buddies and shit. Dare I even say we are taking it to the art boyfriend level? Yeah, I think I am. So yeah, lately he's well, since I've been starting my comic book Blob and Duck. I don't know if my head is coming in frame the whole time. Otherwise, you can enjoy my fucking thin ass balding hair. But so yeah, since I've been starting my comic, I've reached out to Ewan about that because this dude has made multiple comics and he fucking hand paints all that shit, and that's super crazy. The ethic the man has to work on comic books is pretty incredible to me. So I reached out and I was like, hey, Ewan, I'm making a comic book and I'm kind of scared because that's a lot of work and shit. And I shared some of the stories and the concepts. I shared some pages once I started making them. And yeah, he's been really down. He loves the stuff I'm working on, and that's pretty cool. Yeah, in one of his upcoming podcasts, by the time this is uploaded, I think probably it'll already be up. It's up on his Patreon. He has a Patreon as well. Support your artists and shit. And he painted a tribute to my little Blob and Duck characters here. So yeah, he did a little take on my characters. He painted them out even way before I ever got to paint them. Like my comic doesn't even exist yet. And this man is already painting fan art, which is super sick. That's awesome that like legit artists make fan art of stuff that I create. I feel like that's like a new tier I'm unlocking as an artist. And that's super dope. So yeah, I'm very grateful for this man. I love the way he draws. We'll get into that more as I go along. And so yeah, I thought let's today just draw some Euan shit to show my appreciation. If you're watching this, Euan, I love you, and yeah, that's all I want to say. I'm talking a lot and not drawing a lot, so I feel like every time I'm starting this podcast, I have no idea what I'm getting into. Like the putting the camera on and just talking. I love doing it, and I also always kind of find things to say somehow. But every time I start, I have like no idea. Like today, I know like okay, I want to talk a little bit about Ewan and his art, and I wrote like 2 or 3 other points that I might mention, and from there on out, I just kind of ramble. And that leaves me with moments like this where I'm still like getting used to like focusing on a drawing and actually saying stuff, because this drawing is already going in a direction that I didn't intend it to, but while I'm talking my hand just kind of, because I've drawn literally 50,000 faces in my life, so when I don't even think about it, it also kind of just happens. But I haven't made a lot of podcasts in my life, so combining the two is still a work in progress for me to do like fluently. But I'm sure as the podcasts go on that I will get a little better at that, and maybe the art that I make during the podcasts will become a little bit more elaborate. I do kind of want to make a painting, or maybe pretty soon I might work on one of my comic book pages while doing this, so I can share a little bit with you outside of the Patreon. But that's not yet, because if I would ink any of my pages now while drawing, I wouldn't pay enough attention to what I'm doing, and it'll look like shit, and we can't have that happening. So we're not doing that just yet, but Goblins are actually like the perfect podcast material. Maybe that's why you're doing it, Ewan. But so yeah, Ewan and his art. There's so much to say about it. There's like artists who work in comic books and in animation, and they're like esteemed artists, and they make crazy shit. And but also sometimes you get the feeling like a lot of those artists are like kind of stuck in what they've created for themselves, always drawing Superman and Batman, and like I'm talking about these like high up artists in the comic book world and whatever. Like sometimes I feel like they're kind of stuck within the realm of comic books and never venture outside that much. I see that in street art as well, where if you do something long enough, you get kind of like set in your ways, and your art world becomes like kind of limited. But so the point is, Ewan is like the opposite of that. Like he draws just everything that's fun to draw, and I think that I do that as well. And I think that's why we agree a lot on things we like in art, and why we have a lot of talks about that and shit. Because he will like paint these elaborate paintings with like high detail, crazy anatomy, super animated, like and like go and paint with like this minuscule brush. Like I'm a painter, and the smallest that I go is like this for like lines and stuff. But he like he has something kind of like this, and he paints like the entire fucking thing with this fucking size of a brush, which is pretty amazing to me, because I usually I paint more with stuff like this, like bigger brushes to kind of, because I'm lazy, yeah, I need a color here and I'm just gonna fucking put it down, then I don't have the patience for. And he's also pretty good at like ballpoint drawings, where the exact same thing is applicable, like the classic, which every artist needs to have in their weapon arsenal. But so you'll make these ballpoint drawings that just are like endless fucking hatching and doing stuff like that. But just to have the patience to make a whole fucking drawing and sit there, like, I don't have that yet. My brain doesn't allow me to do that for some reason. Maybe that's an excuse I make for myself. Probably it is, but that's why I like more like big brushes, markers, instant media that I just, stuff like this is too small for me. I feel like I'm always like scratching away, where this is like very direct for me. But so that is a quality that Ewan has that I really appreciate. And at the same time, he also does this stuff. So he like combines either like super detailed paintings, ballpoint drawings, but he also just fucking slaps a color with some markers, throws some lines over it in like 20 seconds, and that'll look just as good in its own way. I'm more on that part of the spectrum when it comes to being an artist. Like I always find the most efficient ways to just jot out whatever I have in my head at the moment, but I never have the patience to go like into like depth and like cross hatch and use tiny brushes and stuff. Maybe eventually I'll push myself to that, but anyway, on the part of like silly drawings that look good, these goblins that he draws are like the perfect canvas for that. And I love that he's like well at anatomy, but he'll draw goblins like this, and that's a trait that I also kind of have in my art, is where you reduce anatomy to like super basic shapes. They don't even have to be right, but there's like a knowledge of anatomy behind it, yeah. And I love it when good artists or people that are very good at drawing tap into that, like, I'm gonna draw silly, but it's silly coming from like a sort of educated place. And that is something that Mr. Ewan is incredibly good at, even like I feel like I'm pretty good at that, but when it comes to like really getting to the essential of like a silly character, but just like these confident shapes, lines, poses, Ewan is absolutely a master at that shit. So today I'm channeling my inner Euan. Euan, if you will. Oh, wait, this brush has this marker has a small tip. And it's fun to have like a draw skill and know that you're able to like make these insane drawings and shit, but then also doing stuff like this, just opening your sketchbook and doing only what is essential to like the feeling you have at the moment. Like I feel like I want to draw, but I also don't want to start an entire elaborate thing and put like hours of concentration into something. Like right now I just want to draw and feel like a kid, and that's when drawings like this happen. Like I'm not trying to make it nice, but the knowledge that I've acquired to draw allows me to draw pretty fast and still have it like look like a style or intentional or whatever. And that's like, I don't know if other artists can relate to that, but that is like so fun to do, is to just, I just need one color, I just need a fat marker, and I can make these characters and have fun and stuff. And that reminds us that we're still little kids inside. And in my opinion, a lot of artists forget about that part, take themselves a little bit too serious, yeah. And I don't know if I wanted to say necessarily more stuff about that, but it teaches you to like let go of, oh no, this needs to look good and everything needs to work like anatomically. And a lot of people that are still like in the learning phase or like figuring out how they're drawing and stuff tend to fall in that thing of not being able to let go. Oh, I almost forgot the most important part. I'm also kind of forgetting about this camera this time around. Hey, goblins need a wiener, right? I think this might be my first inappropriate video on YouTube. Hooray! But yeah, so if you're an artist and you're watching this, try to sometimes like let go of what you think you're supposed to be making, or you're supposed to always be growing and improving, and sometimes just bust out a stupid fat old marker and do stuff like this. Because the funny thing is, it's usually when I draw like this and really don't put like any effort to really make it look good, that's when like happy accidents happen in like lines I put, and I'll be like, ooh, like you have the outside line of this leg and it goes like in a little bit, and then the cross hatching slides against it and it gives like these sort of little folds. Completely not necessary, legs don't have folds, but it's stuff like that that happens on accident that I then take away when I do make more serious drawings. And I'll be making a more complex drawing, but I'll remember little moments of drawings like this where I was like, oh, that little curve worked really well because I drew it that fast, and I tried to recreate that in more serious work. And that's how you grow as an artist, through silly stuff, through play, and through not taking everything you do so seriously, because that can work against your flow. Like definitely have discipline and whatever, and that's all good, but this is very important and not talked about enough, I think. So yeah, something to take away. Ewan also has this other character called Flesh Bob, which is basically SpongeBob, but instead of a sponge, he's just like a square of meat. And he's like sort of a psychopath. Yeah, and I always laughed at that idea where he just like, I love SpongeBob as a character, but I also don't want to I wish I invented that character, so I'm just gonna make SpongeBob, but he'll be flesh and he'll be a psychopath to like suit the needs that I have in my drawings. So yeah, I have never drawn Flesh Bob before, but see, see where I get. These are, I don't often recommend materials, but these pens are so much fun. Do with that information what you will. You have in a lot of colors, and you can use them as a actual brush pen. But you can also use them to color, so that's kind of a 2-in-1, and they're really good. One of the things that I also wrote down to maybe talk about today is my good old friend procrastination. Because don't we all know procrastination? I feel like I don't even have to say, like, for the people that are watching that maybe procrastinate every now and then, I have this little thing. Like, I feel literally in this modern society with our attention spans being robbed, phones, sweet reels and TikToks and endless hours of scrolling, we kind of all lost our attention spans and are more prone to struggle in the being productive part and getting off your ass and doing the things you need to do. And I feel I may have I still procrastinate unhealthy amount. I never really get diagnosed, but I sort of feel through experience and people that know me that have told me so that I might be on the ADHD spectrum a little bit. I'm not gonna get into that because I'm not actually diagnosed and I don't want to talk about stuff like that to people who are actually diagnosed and are like, what is this guy talking about? But I think I might be on that spectrum, and so procrastination is a big demon in my life. And I actually made a painting about that last year. You probably saw it. It's this alligator that I painted holding up a clock, and the painting is called "See You Later, Procrastinator," as the gator is like a procrastination personified. I'll show it here. So that was my little tribute to my biggest enemy sometimes. And I feel like I still haven't tamed the beast yet, to say it like that. I still have like a lot of time in my day where I'm like sat in front of the thing I'm supposed to be doing and just either zoning out or like scrolling, doing other stuff first to like trick myself into being productive or thinking that I'm productive instead of doing the thing. And I even have it with the things I love. Yeah, like I'm working on this comic book. Drawing pages is like a joy to me. It makes me super happy, but somehow putting down a page and just starting is always so hard. Like, why is it so hard to start doing the things you love doing the most? And that's something I try to keep into account, but I also have another point to make about that. Let me select another brush pen. I also have these. They're called Pigma BBL Drizzy. is because this is a fat one, but you also have FB for fine brush. I guess this is big brush or what, or whatever the abbreviation is for. But these are the ones I draw my comic with. They're super fat, but they also have like the finest line and the fattest. Like, look, that's awesome. This thing is the gift that keeps on giving. But so, procrastination. I've been traveling, and if some of you have been following me for a little bit longer, you know that I've been to like Asia, and I traveled around to paint and stuff like that, and then I ended up in Mexico and kind of settled here for the time being, at least. Like, I'm gonna keep on living here, but I'm also still pretty young, so I'm not necessarily living here forever. But all that time away from more Western countries like my own, like Belgium, or any of the Western countries, really, but let me speak from my experience. You gotta be productive, you gotta hustle, you gotta make money, you gotta do shit always 24/7. I've been away from that now for a little while, and my whole view on time and being productive and making it or whatever is everything kind of changed for me on that regard, because life in Mexico is a lot slower, especially where I live. I live in this little fisher village. I'm pretty close to Puerto Vallarta, which is a bigger city close to me, but I'm in like this small fisher village, and life is just kind of slow here. And that after like months of traveling and then coming here and kind of settling down for a little bit, like my whole perception started shifting of like, man, I'm always so worked up in Belgium. Like, I've always felt like having my own business and trying to make it as an artist is like always catching up. You're always catching up. You either have bills or you just paid all your bills and there is the next one, and I have to find more walls to paint, but I also want to do my passion projects, but they don't make any money, so I have to, like, it's always like something you have to like do or chase that you not really want to be doing. And somehow I found a way now to kind of keep myself alive through making commissions and selling my pieces, and every now and then I have a little commission from, like, not necessarily businesses, but yeah, a little bit whatever anyway. I don't really do commercial work, but last year, for example, there was a Comic-Con in Belgium, the Brussels Comic-Con, and they asked me to make characters of like existing pop stuff, like movies and games and whatever, to put on their map for the Comic-Con. So that was technically commercial work, but drawing characters is like super fun to do. So I had a blast with that, and I do stuff like that. But so in general, I managed to get around and not go too far out of what I actually want to be doing as an artist, which is like the biggest, that's my being rich, really, like the fact that I have the space to create what I want to create. And I never have a lot of money, I never have a lot of extra, but I have enough to live the way that I'm living, and that's pretty awesome. And so I have time to go to the beach and to enjoy nature and to have a slow morning routine. And I go get my little coffee and I sit on my balcony enjoying just being alive, yeah. And then the whole pressure of I gotta make it and I gotta fucking grow as an artist and more people need to see my stuff and I need to be in galleries and like that, trying to get up as if there's some like end destination to have as an artist. And that used to have me very frustrated. I've talked about this in my first podcast, I think, and that's in general something I like to talk about. is how you like get a change to what works for you regardless of what the rest of the world is doing. And so discovering that it's possible to have like a more simple lifestyle where I just make the things that I want to make, and other than that I just enjoy being alive in like a beautiful place and in a warm climate. And I'm lucky that I have a place that doesn't cost that much for me. I have some friends here and whatever, and I can just do what I enjoy doing, and I'm not like necessarily uh, getting world famous overnight, but that goal kind of disappeared for me. Not that I ever wanted to be famous, but I did have like some visions for myself of like, I want to be this big artist that's known everywhere and I can go everywhere and paint and do all these things, and maybe potentially make a lot of money and whatever. And that's dope, like people who do that and who get to that point, that's super awesome. But for me, that chase always left me very frustrated and unsatisfied. And now being able to have a lifestyle that's more about just being alive and realizing that everything I could need to be to actually be like a happy, contented person, I already have it. Yeah, you don't need millions, you don't need 5 houses and a car, you don't really need property at all when it comes to it. Like, that's also an idea that's been pushed on us since forever, is that like you need to have this property because what are you going to do in your old age? But if I can make my money doing what I love, all the things I'm doing right now I can do when I'm 80 years old, hopefully with a bigger audience by then, because that's in like fucking 45 years. So I still have a lot of time to figure all that out, and if I can just cruise to my life doing the things I love doing without like necessarily owning anything, that's good. No, so a lot of the things I held up for myself or that like society likes to push on us, I kind of let go of that, and that's scary in the beginning because you're like, there's not a lot of people doing this, and I'm kind of by myself. And what if it all goes horribly wrong, and everyone goes like, "Yeah, you wanted to travel, and now it didn't go, and we worked hard for our security, and look at us now." And like, of course, I have these thoughts, right? What if it all goes fucking wrong? What if I'm back home with no money and just have to move back in with my parents or some stuff? Like, that could all still very much happen. But also, I feel like I've made this decision in my life of who I want to be and what I want to spend my time doing, and not much is worth it to me to not do that, right? I don't want to go out of my way to not be chasing my dreams. I'd rather have no money and struggle whilst still doing the thing that I love doing, instead of like deviating from that for the sense of security and money. And as definitely with the state of the world right now, I feel like even if you have a job, like money and security isn't even a given anymore. Like, the world is changing fast, and I'm not gonna wait to like I'm not gonna focus all my attention on money if like eventually robots do all our jobs and we get a universal basic income or whatever, or like fun tokens to be alive in the society while robots do everything, or being so desperate for money that eventually like the things people have to do to stay alive this day and age is so insane that I'm like, even people with money constantly struggle, so why not struggle without? Like, if there's gonna be a struggle, I'd rather struggle achieving this and having a blast while doing it, and maybe I'm dead by the time that I'm 50 because I can't keep myself alive because I'm doing this or whatever. But that'll still be a life much more worth living to me than sacrificing my best years to have this sense of money and security and accomplishment. So I kind of let go of all that stuff. And now I'm in Mexico drawing Flash Bob and talking into a camera for whoever wants to listen to it. So this is Flash Bob. Anyway, I don't necessarily know where all this is going. Sometimes I just like to ramble a bit about that stuff. Maybe I'm doing it to confirm for myself that I'm making the right choices, because make no mistake, I get insecure. I have moments where I'm still like, what if it all catches up to me and this fun lifestyle that I have right now crumbles because it's not sustainable, and all the people that do play it safe, they'll come and point their fingers and laugh and go like, ha, you fool, trying to escape society. In the end, we all buckle to the iron claw of capitalism. But not me, man. Honestly, I'd rather, like, obviously, I still take part in capitalism by making and spending money, and it's not that I'm against that, it's just that the way the world is set up right now is not all that fair, and greed is just ruining humanity. And unfortunately, it's a very select small group with a lot of the fun tokens, the money, that decide that all for us. And I just kind of decided to maybe not do all that. So I take part as little as I can. I just try to live outside of it a little bit, and so far I'm getting away with it. Like, I make the money I need to make, and other than that, I'm just over here drawing silly things and making a comic book. Because that's also a thing. Who in this age makes a fucking comic book with the idea of like a creator-owned comic? Like, I'm not working for Marvel or anything. Like, I just want to make a comic book, doing that with the idea that that's gonna be like financially beneficial for me. Like, I don't really. The only thing I hope to gain is like the Patreon, man. Like, if on Patreon I could, like, I don't even need like thousands, right? Like, if I could have a Patreon that makes me between $500 and $1,000 a month, I'm golden, man. Like, I don't need a lot. If I have my commissions on top of that, then I'm fucking golden, and then I can just securely, while monthly my Patreon money comes in, create stuff that I love creating for people who love seeing it and want to pay money for that. I feel like that's a fair. I just want to live my life and do the things that I do, and if you enjoy it, just give me a little bit of money, and then you can look at all this stuff that I'm doing, and you get something, and I can just keep living outside of what the rest is doing. So yeah, the 500 plug of my Patreon. But seriously, take a look at that shit. It's dope, man. I'm happy with the things I'm putting on there. I'm gonna put more and more effort into it as I go and figure it all out and make a little bit of a lifestyle that encompasses my comic, YouTube, Patreon, murals, paintings. Like, if I put all that into a circle and I can just stay inside that little bubble and do the things I do, what else do you need, really? Like, if you can do that and live in a place that you'd like to be, where maybe the sun shines a little bit more than the country you're living in currently, what else do you really need? And so I only now realize that I've gone on this talk to circle back to procrastination, because the meaning of procrastination has kind of changed for me. Like, there's definitely moments where I should be doing the things that I'm doing, and I might be struggling to get that started. But there's also moments where I enjoy kind of wasting time, where I enjoy just sitting in my couch on my balcony, looking over the view I have here, and just sitting there and staring and thinking about my life, and maybe get a little meditative. To me, that's also super essential to be a human being, no? Like, we're all so focused on, we have to be productive, we have to make money, we have to put ourselves out there, definitely in the age of content creation, and everyone can be a celebrity if you find whatever interests people. After a while, every little aspect of your life gets like eaten up by the same drive to like make something out of yourself, while in the end, the only person that needs to be happy or contented or proud of what you're doing is your fucking self. And the more I get into that, because the last 2 years has been like a crazy deep dive into loving myself and having enough in my own company without the need of other people's assurance, without the need for like a girlfriend that tells me she loves me, without the need of like 20 friends always available to like listen to you and be there. Like that's all beautiful stuff, and I love that. And obviously when I get back to Belgium, I'm gonna look for all my loved ones. But traveling and being most of the time I'm by myself. Either when I'm traveling I do it by myself, or I'm sitting here in Mexico and I'm like in my little bubble just creating things, and I enjoy spending nights with my friends. And I'm lucky that I live in a building where a couple of my neighbors are like became some of my best friends. So of course I enjoy company, but there's such a profound realness in being able to be by yourself and feel like there's nothing missing, because that's something I only discovered by the end of my 20s, is that I was missing that I was frustrated and angry because I was always looking for something outside of me to fill like that little hole I have. I just heard how that sounded. I mean, if we all have a little void that comes calling every now and then. Let me also go back to drawing while I'm talking. We all have that little void inside of us that comes knocking every now and then, catches you by surprise and makes you sad, and then you want the hug of a lover or the talk of a friend or whatever. But having moments where you feel like existential, or you wonder what the hell it is you're doing, when you're like wondering about life and like, what's the meaning of all this shit? If you can sit with that and not need anyone else to comfort you, and you can discover what it feels like to feel like this existential dread or sadness or whatever, and to sit with it long enough by yourself, where it eventually turns to positive, where it eventually turns to a happy feeling or whatever positive thing. And that's something I experienced a lot in the last couple of months and throughout the last 2 years, because I've been through some things emotionally, and I always had a hard time kind of like going past that by myself. And I feel like right now I kind of got to a place where I'm pretty good with that, and I'm pretty happy with myself and the things that I'm doing. And so procrastination, to come back once again to oh geez, I'm sorry, I can just go on. Procrastination doesn't really hit me that much anymore, because sometimes I'll be feeling like, oh, I should be doing more, blah blah blah. But I'm also like, no, wait, because I'm looking at the most beautiful view with a cold glass of water and a fresh mango, and isn't that like what life is supposed to be about? Like, aren't we supposed to just be alive on this spinning rock in space and enjoy the things that are here for us to enjoy? Like, when's the last time that you fully consciously like ate a piece of fruit and realized how insane that is? Okay, I'm back a day later, because yesterday I filmed my podcast that you were enjoying so far, and while I was filming, my iPhone storage got filled up on my phone, and so it cut filming at the point my storage was full, and I missed 15 minutes of the podcast that I still recorded or didn't record. So the video got cut off at the point where it got out, where you just saw it cut off, and So yeah, today I was rewatching the footage until I noticed that I missed about 15 minutes of podcasts. So now I have to make a new sort of ending. Anyway, I kind of continued on that page. I was just about to start this guy when the camera cut off. I also added this guy and these faces, so let me quickly sort of recap what happened after the camera cut off. First of all, when I rewatched it, I noticed that I tried really hard to make a point about procrastination and what it means to me. And I sort of got to it, but not really. So let me first expand upon that real quick. The point I tried to make with procrastination is that procrastination is also very much a symptom of a society that forces you to be and do something 24/7. And as soon as you don't do that, you start feeling this guilt and feeling this pressure on yourself of like, oh my God, I'm not doing anything. And we call that procrastination. But when you step out of that rat race for a little bit, as I was lucky enough to do for a little bit, you start to question like when you're procrastinating and when you're actually just taking time for yourself to do absolutely nothing and be a fucking person that's alive on this planet, yeah. And because I have more time and a little bit a slower life than I used to have back in Belgium, now I started questioning that, like moments where I'm like, am I procrastinating and putting off the thing I'm supposed to be doing? Or am I just taking time for myself to do nothing? Because doing absolutely nothing, and I also mean not chilling and being on your phone for hours, like I mean doing nothing as in literally doing nothing, just sitting down somewhere, get in a meditation mode and just kind of exist as a human being on this planet. And so I found a lot of value in doing that, in just sitting around, sometimes a half an hour or an hour at a time, and just like let your thoughts go by. So I do that more and more, and now it's easier for me to go like, I'm not procrastinating, I'm actually taking time for myself to just exist, because there's a beautiful peace in that. And so I guess the point I'm trying to make is to people who are watching, I guess when you feel like you're procrastinating or you're lazy or you should be doing more, ask yourself, like, are you being lazy and not doing the things you should be doing? Or is your mind and body like asking you, like begging you to maybe take a break for a little bit? And then maybe take that break. Maybe just sit around and don't do anything, and those voices of guilt that come will eventually stop. Like, I feel like even when we take a day to rest, like even busy people, they go like, okay, that day I'm gonna do absolutely nothing. And when you plan that, and then still somehow that day when you're supposed to be resting, you're thinking about, oh, but I could have been doing this, or I should be doing this. Like that voice never fucking stops. And it's a pretty sweet place to have that voice kind of quiet down and have the space to like maybe not do something for a day without feeling guilty about it. So I guess that's the point I was trying to make. When it comes to procrastination, like it's obviously valuable to notice when you're slacking off and not doing anything. We should be doing that. Like I try to do that as well. But the opposite is true too. Like try to notice when your body is actually like asking you to take a step back from all the shit you're doing and just like shut off for a little bit. Yeah. So procrastination or actually needed rest, a needed time to just be a human on this planet without anything else. Okay, yeah, that's sort of the point I was trying to get to. Sorry, I always take a long time to get to my points. I think that's part of the ADHD thing, is just like circling around the point to eventually get to it. Yeah. So that's that. Okay, so I continued drawing this guy, which is like on this page maybe the most Ewan drawing of all, with the smile that goes over the eyes, stuff like that. Then I went on to draw these two guys, and I made a point about this when it comes to Ewan's art and other comic book artists. It's like you can have two modes of operating where you draw like scenes that are supposed to be like more serious or more intense, and you draw more details, and you draw like a serious drawing, yeah, like with details and more effort put into it. But then a couple of pages later, the same character can look like this in a more lighthearted situation. And I love that stuff. I love when artists are able to draw like highly detailed and rendered work. But the people with the skills to do that, when they use that skill to go more silly, I love that stuff. And I love it when comic books do that, because it takes a little bit of the edge off, and it takes a little bit of makes the comic not take itself so serious, yeah, because there's like serious comics out there with like intense stories and whatever, and that's all cool, but I love when like serious stories get interrupted by like moments of relief and silliness. I think you can trace that back to manga and anime, where you have like intense scenes and serious stuff and sharp faces and intense eyes, and then like a page further you have like the same character with like big eyes and a stupid mouth and like sweat drops and whatever. I love that contrast, and to apply that to Ewan stuff, like he's the master of that shit, where he can paint like super detailed, but also not take himself too serious and put like silly figures. Like even in his comic books, you'll have panels that are like a circle with 2 points and a stripe for a face. And I love that. I think that's a very cool thing to do as a good artist, and my buddy Ewan does that very well. Okay, so I think that was what I got into after my camera cut off. A little summarization of that. So yeah, this is what I ended up with. It's still very small and loose drawings. We'll get to like more serious drawings eventually, because Ewan also has his main character called Gun Viking. And I haven't drawn him here yet because I want to make like a dope, nice Gun Viking piece. So this episode was just to mess around a little bit, pay a little tribute to my mans. But the next podcast, hopefully I will make a little bit more render drawing of Gun Viking. Maybe say some more nice things about Euan, maybe not, because how much love can I really give? No, I'm just kidding. I can talk about that man for 50 podcasts. Okay, so next episode, a little bit more elaborate drawing and maybe less rambling. Thanks for sticking around and listening to my rambling. Let me know when I actually say valuable things and when the shit I'm saying is bullshit, or I'm like endlessly circling around the point without actually making it, because I get lost in my train of thoughts. So yeah, any feedback is welcome. Thanks for checking in. Check out Ewan. He's called Ewan again on Instagram. He has a Patreon. He has a YouTube channel. Go check all that good stuff. And I see you on the fucking next one. Goodbye.